Lathe, feeding and thread cutting mechanism. Content covered. 1. Various parts of the feeding mechanism of the lathe. 2. Functional features of feeding mechanism. The lathe machine is one of the most important machine tools used in the metalworking industry. It operates on a rotating workpiece and a fixed cutting tool. The cutting tool is fed into the workpiece, which rotates about its axis, causing the workpiece to form the desired shape. The movement of the tool relative to the workpiece is termed as feed. The feed can be manual or automatic. However, the manual feed may result in lack of accuracy. To overcome this, the lathe machine also has a feeding mechanism in which the motion of the main spindle is synchronized with the carriage. The feed mechanism enables automatic feeding for the tool longitudinally and transversely. By automatic feeding, the finish of the work will be better. The feeding of the tool will be at a uniform continuous rate. It takes less time to finish the operation while manual labor is avoided. The feed mechanism of the lathe includes spindle gear, tumbler gear unit, fixed stud gear, change gear unit, quick change gearbox, feed shaft or lead screw, apron mechanism. Spindle gear. The spindle gear is fitted to the main spindle outside the headstock casting. It revolves along with the main spindle. Tumbler gear unit. The tumbler gear unit set of 3 gears has the same number of teeth, and it connects the spindle gear to the fixed gear. It is also called the reversing gear unit, as it is used to change the direction of the feed of the tool for the same direction of rotation of the spindle. It can be engaged and disengaged with the fixed stud gear by the operation of the hand lever provided in the unit. Tumbler gear plays a central role in the feeding mechanism as it decides forward and backward movement of the carriage and right hand and left hand thread cutting. The fixed stud gears. The fixed stud gear gets the drive from the main spindle gear through the tumbler gear unit and runs at the same number of revolutions per minute as the spindle gear on most lathes. The stud gear is made removable on all types, allowing it to be part of the screw cutting train or setup as very small gear to give a fine feed to the carriage. Change gear unit. The fixed stud gear transmits its drive to the quick change gearbox through a changed gearbox. The change gear unit has provision for changing the driver, the driven, and the idler gears from the set of change gears available for feed changing as an additional unit. Quick change gearbox. The quick change gearbox is provided with levers outside the box casting, and by shifting the levers, different gears are brought in mesh so that different feed rates can be given to the tool. A chart listing the different feed rates for the various positions of the levers is fixed to the casting, and by referring to the table, the levers may be engaged in position for the required feed rate. The feed shaft. The feed shaft gets its drive from the quick change gearbox, and through the apron mechanism, the rotary movement of the feed shaft is converted into the linear movement of the tool. The apron mechanism. It has an arrangement for transmitting drive from the feed shaft to the saddle for the longitudinal movement of the tool and from cross slide for the transverse movement of the tool. In an apron, half nut screw and worm wheel mechanism are responsible for the movement of the carriage. The half nut or split nut is used for thread cutting in a lathe. It engages or disengages the carriage with the lead screw so that the rotation of the lead screw is used to traverse the tool along the workpiece to cut screw threads. At the same time, the worm and worm wheel convert the rotatory motion of the feed rod into linear movement of the carriage. Now, Let's understand the working of the feeding mechanism with the help of the tumbler gear unit. Tumbler gears are used to give the desired direction of motion to the lathe carriage. Tumbler gearing consists of two pinions mounted on a bracket that is provided about the first stud shaft. The design provides three positions of the bracket: forward, neutral, and reverse. Its neutral central position allows the headstock spindle to revolve without driving gears. Moving the engagement lever up or down engages one or other of a pair of tumble gears below the spindle gear, causing the next gear in the train to revolve either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Tumbler gear 1 will contact spindle gear if the tumbler lever is shifted upward. In this position, rotation of spindle gear transferred to stud gear and through change gear unit to screw gear. In this position, the direction of rotation of the spindle, that is chuck, is anti-clockwise transfer to lead screw, which is also rotated in an anti-clockwise direction. In contrast, feed shaft rotates in a clockwise direction if the half nut in the apron assembly is engaged. A carriage with tool post will start moving towards headstock with preset pitch value. This is the automatic forward movement of the carriage. Opposite to this, if the tumbler lever is shifted to a lower position, then tumbler 2 will contact spindle gear. In this position, rotation of spindle transferred from tumbler 2 to tumbler 1 to stud gear and through change gear unit to screw gear. In this position, the direction of rotation of spindle and chuck is anti-clockwise transferred to lead screw, which rotates in clockwise direction, whereas feed shaft rotates in an anti-clockwise direction. As a result, the carriage will start moving away from the headstock if half nut in apron assembly is engaged. This is the automatic reverse movement of the carriage. This video taught us how a lathe machine is used for thread cutting mechanisms. Thank you.